Emotions. All right, hopefully you guys can hear me. Send me a text or a DM or something if you can hear me. That would be super helpful, thank you. But if you can, welcome to tonight's NCAA selection show. I'll be doing some bracket analysis as well, and we'll get started. So first of all, I'm just going to head over to ESPN and see if we can log in and get this stream going. So for those of you who don't know, the NCAA runs a tournament every single year to see who the best team in college volleyball is. And they have tournaments for Division I, Division II, and Division III. So the Division III tournament is already over. Division II, I think, is kind of halfway done, almost done. And Division I is going to start this week. So it's sort of like March Madness in the format. They have 64 teams who participate. Ooh. They have 64 teams who participate. I guess in basketball it's 68 teams. But it's pretty much the same thing. Single elimination, they play down. And what today is they're going to release who those 64 teams are. So let's find ESPNU.
Please enjoy your party. I'll be here somewhere in the corner.
All right. This is the show we want. Championship Drive, Who's In, presented by Capital One. No, that's wrong. That's football. Volleyball. Yeah, 2018 NCAA Women's Volleyball Selection Special. How do we get to that? Memphis versus... Okay, it's going to be shown after this.
5 minutes to go.
Random basketball game.
Nice pass by Martin. Puts the free throw line.
Okay, so while we watch this random basketball game and wait for it to finish, I guess we'll see, first of all, if people can hear me on stream. Okay, perfect. Jenna says she can hear, and we are good to go then. So let me just mute this. Basically, the selection show is going to happen right after this game. So what I'll do is I'll walk through a little bit of an analysis right before the show happens. So there's this website online. It's called Volley Talk. And it has some, we'll say, interesting volleyball discussion. I think a lot of it is a little ridiculous, but some of it's pretty good. And what you'll see on Volley Talk is a lot of volleyball fans talking about different teams and players and everything like that. There's a lot of NCAA discussion. So there's this person, Trojan SC, and he does predictions, or she does predictions of the bracket and what they think it's going to be like. And they have a really, really high success rate. So this person's bracketology pretty much gets every single team right every year. How the teams are selected are, there are 32 conferences in the NCAA, and each one of them gets one bid automatically to the tournament. So if you win your conference, you get to go to the NCAA tournament. And that's 32 out of the 64 places, and that leaves another 32 places that a committee gets to decide. And the committee uses things like RPI, which is a ranking system. It uses the team's record against top 10, top 25, and top 50 teams to kind of come up with who should be in this tournament. So, out of the 64, there are 16 teams that are seeded, and being seeded is really important because it allows you, the seeded teams host the sub-regionals, and then the top 4 seeds will host the top 8? Top 8 teams will host the regional finals. And home court advantage is really big in all sports and volleyball, so it's really important to have a seed. So you can see Trojan SC has come up with who he or she thinks will be the seeded teams. And here are the projected NCAA tournament teams. So on this side, you can see the 32 conferences, and the first name is who won each conference. So for example, Dayton won the Atlantic 10, UCF won the AAC, Pittsburgh won the ACC, and so on. And you can see that for some conferences, like the Pac-12, there's a ton of teams who are going to make the tournament. Same with the Big Ten. And then for some of the smaller conferences, like the Big Sky, Big South, Big West, there might be only one team that gets in. And I'll talk about why that might be the case in a second. Let me just see how this basketball game is going. All right. If you have any questions, just write them in chat or send me a text or a DM, and I'll try to get to them. Alrighty. Okay, back to the bracket, or to this basketball game. 70 to 68, 3 minutes left, so we should be able to finish before 8:30, which is when this is supposed to start. Oh, okay, so let's take a look at the projections of who's going to be in this tournament. So we'll start with maybe some of the more well-known conferences. Let's start with the Big Ten. So the Big Ten, the conference winner is Minnesota. I think they went 19-1 this year. The next closest was Illinois at 17-3. We've got Wisconsin, Michigan, Penn State, Purdue, and Nebraska all projected to make the tournament. So there are some teams that were really close but didn't make the cut, like Indiana, apologies to Haley Armstrong. Michigan State was pretty close, I believe. Iowa and Maryland, I think, was actually really, really close. But this projection doesn't have them making the cut. So Big Ten volleyball is really, really strong. If you follow NCAA, that they have some really good teams in that conference. So picking some Big Ten teams to go far in the tournament, always good. Minnesota's looked really strong. They were undefeated in conference until they lost to Penn State just on Friday in a 5-setter. Okay, let's see next. Pac-12. So Stanford is the conference winner. They didn't lose a single game in conference. The only team they lost to was BYU, which we will get to in a second. Stanford, no injuries or anything. They're really starting to roll now. They've got really experienced players too. They're pretty much their entire starting lineup won a national championship when they were when they were freshmen 2 years ago, and now they are juniors, so looking to get another national championship on their belt. Next, Southern Cal, Washington State, Washington, Oregon, Arizona, Utah, Colorado. I don't think the Pac-12 is quite as strong as it has been in previous years. So Southern Cal was second in the conference, and they looked very beatable at many points this season. They lost a lot of games this year. Washington State is a good team, super underrated because they're usually overshadowed by University of Washington. Oregon, super fast offense. Arizona, I haven't watched that much of them play. They're okay. Utah, I think, is pretty underrated as well. All right, so let's see. Stanford we've talked about. Minnesota we've talked about. Illinois. So Illinois is second in the Big Ten. They have Jordan Poulter, who's an amazing setter. They came on really strong towards the end of the season. I know they lost, like Adam and I watched them lose to Nebraska and stuff like that. So I think they're a lot better now. Wisconsin just won in 5 sets against Penn State. I said Minnesota lost in 5 sets. Wisconsin, they're led by the best middle in NCAA volleyball, 6'8" Dana Retke. She's amazing. Really, really good player. Michigan, they're okay. I mean, we watched them play live this year. I'd say Penn State is a better team than Michigan. Purdue, Nebraska. Nebraska is really good. Come tournament time, they always sort of turn it on. Michaela Fecke, who's a senior now, she has 2 national championships. And I think she won most outstanding player in both of those national champions. Seed number 4, BYU. Okay, my favorite team. The only team to beat Stanford this year. Super, super strong for most of the year. And then their L2 goes down to an ACL injury. McKenna Miller, who had started kind of weak but gotten a lot better as the season wore on, her knee exploded, and their hopes of a national championship exploded as well. So I don't think BYU can go that far this tournament. If they make it to the top 8, I think that's super successful for them. Disappointing because they have some really strong seniors in Ronnie Jones-Perry, of course, and Lindy Haddock-Epic. Okay. So again, if you have any questions, just send me a message or write in chat. All right. This basketball game is over, and we're going to get our NCAA selection show coming shortly. So I'll stop talking when that happens, and we'll just watch this together. Okay, other big teams. Texas, Big 12. So they lost to Kansas earlier this year, and they've lost to Stanford as well. I don't know. They're super athletic, super big. Yazzie Bedargani is an amazing player. Ashley Shook as a setter. But they're always dangerous come tournament time. People think that they might get seeded ahead of BYU, so maybe they'll be the 4 seed and BYU will be the 5 seed. That'll make a huge difference because BYU plays really well in their home gym, and so does Texas, and both of them want that home court advantage. Texas knocked BYU out of the tournament 2 years ago in the Sweet 16. That was pretty devastating, so hopefully BYU gets to host and gets that win back. Wisconsin we've talked about, Nebraska we've talked about, Penn State we've talked about, Kentucky. Okay, SEC team, so we haven't talked about that conference yet. SEC, Kentucky, Florida, Missouri, South Carolina, Tennessee. Kentucky, what do they have? They've got a really good setter in, I forget her name. Is it Skinner who sets for them? Or is that an outside? Leah Edmond is one of their outside players, one of the best outsides in the country. She's really, really good. That's all I kind of know about Kentucky. Creighton, Big East team. Southern Cal, Pittsburgh. Oh, okay. We can talk about Pittsburgh. They play in the ACC. They were undefeated this year until they lost to Duke. So they only have one loss this year, actually. Canadian plays on Pittsburgh, actually. Lane Van Buskirk from Windsor. Oregon, talked about them. UCF, oh yeah, Central Florida. So what conference do they play in again? Should be here somewhere. Oh, the American. Right. Okay. Todd Dagenais is their coach there. He's very good. Washington State and Baylor. So that's another Big 12 team. Texas, Baylor, Kansas, Kansas State. Okay. Some of the more interesting things are who is going to be... Where is this? Oh. Who are going to be like the last teams in the tournament, like the bubble teams. So this projection has Kansas, Duke, Colorado, Arizona making it. I'd really like to see Colorado in the tournament. They're really strong. Then St. Mary's, Loyola Marymount, Kansas State, and San Diego also making it. So San Diego they have as the last team in. That's important for Hurricanes fans because Lauren Medill plays for San Diego. And you can see 3 out of these 4 teams are in BYU's conference, the West Coast Conference. St. Mary's is good. They beat San Diego twice this year. Loyola Marymount beat BYU, so that was a really big upset. They swept them. Then the next team's out, so these teams would be left out. Hawaii, Denver, Princeton, Iowa State. Hawaii is relevant because Natasha Burns plays there. And this is her last year, so I'd really like to see them get in. And Hawaii volleyball fans are super into the sport, and they do a lot for college volleyball. Then James Madison, Maryland, Notre Dame, and Western Kentucky. All right. So, this game isn't over yet. It's got 38 seconds left, and it's 75-74, which in basketball time, that might take like 15 minutes to resolve. So, back to predictions. Let me just respond to a couple chat items. Okay, so let's talk about maybe some of the lesser known teams, and we'll go through some of the one-bid conferences. Atlantic 10, Dayton, always historically really strong. I think the runner-up was Virginia Commonwealth, and they almost got into the tournament, but Dayton's a really good team. They play like that Midwest sort of volleyball. Great defense, great libero, awesome in transition. American East, Stony Brook is the winner there. So I think LIU Brooklyn. No, I'm getting conferences confused. Stony Brook, they made the tournament last year as well, I believe. And this is a smaller conference. I don't think they'll get past the first round. Atlantic Sun, Florida Gulf Coast. There's a Canadian connection there. I believe the coach is Canadian. Elizabeth Richmond, who used to play at Hurricanes, she's playing beach down there next year. So I haven't watched them play at all, though. Big Sky, Northern Arizona. Oh, this was the team that beat Florida earlier in the year in a really big upset. So I think Florida, who was in the national championship last year, I think they're kind of weak this year, but that's my opinion. High Point, don't know much about them. Cal Poly, so Vanessa Roscoe, who graduated from Hurricanes last year, she plays beach at that program. Hofstra in the Colonial, Rice in Conference USA. This is a little bit surprising because Western Kentucky historically just like owns the Conference USA. So it's interesting to see a new team here. I haven't watched Rice plays this year, so I don't know. Horizon League, Green Bay. So this is where Roberta Todd used to play. She's since transferred to Mercer, but there's another Canadian playing there in Ottawa, Alex Zakutny. So she graduated last year from Ottawa. She's a strong player. She was playing left side, I think 3 rotations there. Yale in the Ivy League, Iona in the Metro Atlantic. So I watched Iona play a lot this year because Megan Miller and Sonia Radulovic, they both play in the Metro Atlantic. So I made sure to catch a lot of their games. I watched the conference championship. Iona's a pretty good team, but I think they'll probably get sent to Stanford and just get stomped. Eastern Michigan in the Mid-American. So this was a big upset because Bowling Green, where Hannah Lauby plays, they won the regular season conference championship, but then Eastern Michigan beat them in the semifinals. Like the very first game for Bowling Green, they just like lost in 4 sets. That was pretty crazy. Howard in the Mid-Eastern, haven't watched them play. Missouri Valley, Northern Iowa, they're always very good. UNI. Missouri Valley, that's the conference that Chloe Carenza plays in. Colorado State is historically good as well. They always win their conference. I haven't watched them play this year. Alexandra Paletto, who's Canadian, who played for Leaside, she played at Colorado State. Almost done here. So the Northeast Conference, that's the one I was thinking of earlier. Bryant University is there. They're in New Hampshire, I think. Adam and I actually got to meet a couple of people from Bryant University this year at the Gold Medal Squared Clinic, and it was really cool. Their setter, Kirsten Sperry, she's really, really good, and she was at the conference that she was playing, so that was kind of neat to see. So I'll be rooting for them. Murray State in the Ohio Valley, don't know anything about them. Talked about the Pac-12. Navy in the Patriot League. I think they're a lot better than usual. Patriot League, I believe American usually wins this conference, but Navy's got it this year. Stephen F. Austin, don't know anything about them. Southern Conference, so Samford, that's the one that Mercer is in, I believe. Dex used to coach at Samford. East Tennessee State was really, really good this year, and I think they might upset a team in the first round depending on how the seeds work. But ETSU, there's a Canadian from DRVC who plays there, Braden Tutton. Don't know anything about South Dakota and Summit. Don't know anything about Texas State in the Sun Belt. Don't know anything about Alabama State in the SWAC. And New Mexico State, oh, this is cool. So New Mexico State, Savannah Davison plays for them. She was their L1 this year, maybe L2. But it's kind of cool to see. She's like 5'8", 5'9", tore her ACL at the end of her college career, and found a way to contribute to a team that won their conference and will be playing in the national championship. So this basketball game is still going, 16.8 seconds left, and 8:34. Okay, so maybe the selection show has started already, and I need to find it. So let's try to do that. Sometimes it'll go on a different channel, and then we'll have to pick it up and then switch midway. So let us see. Thumbs up, Dennis Anderson. Thank you for tuning in. Jenna Gravina, thank you for tuning in as well. Jenna, shoutouts to Jenna and the University of Waterloo. They're undefeated so far this season. I think they're 8-0. And they picked up 2 big wins with a sweep over McMaster and a 5-set really close win over Brock at Brock. Shoutouts as well to Steve Delaney, who's really turned that program around at Brock. All right. NCAA Women's Volleyball Selection Special. Still waiting for that. Live now. Okay, we're still going to wait for this to finish. The Advocare Invitational. Shoutouts to multi-level marketing schemes for putting on basketball games that run over allotted volleyball time. Okay. So this is Pablo, which is a computer-generated ranking which shows basically if teams were to play tomorrow, who would be projected to win. So it's purely a computer stats-driven analysis. And you can see a list of teams here. So if you want to do a completely Pablo-based ranking, which I'll actually put up as one of the brackets that I submit, you can take a look here and see what the stats nerds, or who the stats nerds think are the best teams in the country. So Stanford, number 1, that's no surprise there. BYU is second. BYU did beat Stanford this year, but of course that was with McKenna Miller. They haven't looked like the same team since then. Minnesota as number 3, Nebraska as number 4, Kentucky as number 5. That's a little high. Illinois is 6, Texas is 7, Wisconsin is 8, Penn State is 9, Pittsburgh as 10. Huh. To be honest, guys, I don't see any team other than Stanford or Minnesota winning this. Maybe some other Big Ten team like Wisconsin, Penn State, Nebraska comes out and surprises, but I honestly think it's like a 2-team race at this point. But, you know, have faith. BYU, they're going to win. All right. This basketball game is over. Awesome. Congratulations, College of Charleston, for winning the Advocaat Invitational over Memphis. Cool. Questions. What is your prediction for the Big East and how far they go this season? That's a good question. So the Big East, the 2 teams that are going to be in are Creighton and Marquette. So Creighton is historically really, really good, and so is Marquette. They're always the 2 top teams in the Big East. Marquette has Allie Barber, who is, I think she's going to be an All-American this year. They took a set off of BYU when BYU was playing like really, really well. So I think that Creighton and Marquette can both make it to the Sweet 16 depending on the bracket that they are faced with. And that's what's so exciting about what's going to happen now is we're going to see who is picked in this bracket challenge. Oh my God, it's starting. Okay. Let's figure this out here.
Becky.
Gotta refresh. Oh, God. Please work. Yeah. All right, here we go.
That was last year. Nebraska was the NCAA
right.
Women's Volleyball
I will see you
Championship, and we
guys.
are ready to determine our...
I'll see you guys after the show. And we'll do some analysis, and I'll put up the bracket up, and maybe I'll make my predictions as well. All right.
season. We're finally here. We know the top 4 seeds, but we have not revealed the order of those top 4 seeds. They're in alphabetical order at this point. I'm just curious what you were thinking about driving over here tonight.
You know, a few things, Sam. One of them was, yes, BYU is a top 4 seed. Where are they in that top 4? You know, before the McKenna Miller injury, we thought, well, maybe they'll be the number 1 seed, undefeated and whatever, but we don't know yet. And so I was questioning that. The other thing is, the Big Ten is smoking hot right now. They are just coming in here hot. It's going to be fun to see how their success in their season registers in this tournament. The other thing is, you know, there's only been 10 schools who have won an NCAA tournament title. I can't believe that. 10. Are we going to have an 11th this year? Can't wait to see.
7 of those 10 are in the field.
That's right.
But let's show people what they need to know about this year's tournament. We have a 64 field in women's volleyball. Now, the 16 national seeds are very important because those 16 seeds will host first and second round matches. The national semifinals and championship this year will be held in Minneapolis on the 13th and 15th of December. And so now, drum roll please, the number 1 seed, the Stanford Cardinal.
Well, is anybody going to argue with this? They're undefeated in the Pac-12. Their only loss came at BYU early in the season. This is a team loaded with players up and down the net, everywhere in the backcourt. 4 juniors lead this team. They've already won a national championship. Can they win another one?
Well, Stanford holds the nation's longest home court win streak at 32. They will face Alabama State out of the Southwestern Conference in their opening match. Also in Palo Alto, Loyola Marymount, who's coming off an upset of BYU, will be facing the ACC's Duke Blue Devils. Again, these matches in Palo Alto.
How about you, Alabama State? This is the third time they've won that SWAC tournament representing their university.
Also staying home for first and second round matches, Washington State and Pullman. Out of the Pac-12, Washington State will face Northern Arizona in its first match. Tennessee, what a surprise. Eve Rackham in her first year as a head coach, taking the Volunteers out to Pullman to face Colorado State.
What a great job by Eve Rackham. Tennessee in the second place in that SEC conference. Tremendous job first year.
So let's take a look at all 8 teams. Now, again, if the seeds were to hold, we would see Stanford and Washington State. Stanford will be at home for all of its matches.
And Stanford just playing so well right now. Washington State, though, if they do match up, very familiar with that team. And you never know what can happen in the NCAA tournament.
Moving down the left side of the draw, the number 9 seed from the state of Nebraska. Incidentally, Creighton getting the number 9 seed and will stay at home.
Have we seen Jaylee Winters and Taryn Cloth play for like 10 years? They've been good for so long. They're moving on with their 5th Big East title.
And they will play a team from the Summit League, South Dakota. St. Mary's, 19-9 this year, will be at Creighton, but will be playing Pac-12's Washington Huskies, one of those former champions in the field. Again, these matches being played at Creighton. Penn State gets the number 8 seed this year and will stay at home to host first and second round matches. Penn State's first opponent will be Howard out of the Mid-Eastern Conference.
Russ Rose really riding that number 1 recruiting class. He's got freshmen that are so outstanding. Johnny Parker, Serena Gray, Caitlin Horde. These 3 have led this Penn State team to this point.
Also in this section of the draw, Syracuse making its debut in the NCAA Women's Volleyball Championship.
And I've been working on this name all day long, saying Tita Ibangways, okay? She's hitting over 400 right now and has done her best to lead them into the NCAA tournament.
Syracuse will play Yale. Yale out of the Ivy League at 19-4. So here's all 8 in this section of the draw. Again, if the seeds were to hold, Penn State would be facing Creighton. But this is one of those sections where you could see some upsets.
Well, you could see some upsets. We don't, Syracuse, the jury's out on them a little bit as far as an NCAA tournament run for them. But Penn State and Creighton, that could be a potentially tough matchup.
Time to reveal another top 4 seed. It is the number 4 seed, BYU. BYU won the first 27 matches of the season, fell in the regular season finale to Loyola, and they are a number 4 seed.
And what a tremendous season they had. It's just so unfortunate that McKenna Miller gets hurt. It's a tremendous outside hitter for them, but boy, watch Ronnie Jones-Perry throughout this tournament. She's a dynamic, fun player to watch.
So should BYU continue to win, they would host a regional. BYU's first opponent is Stony Brook. Utah, out of the Pac-12, will be playing in Provo against Denver.
Denver out of that Summit League. They've got the at-large bid this year. Doing a great job with that program.
So BYU gets the number 4 seed in this year's tournament. That's the big headline there. Continuing, UCF, the number 13 seed, and will stay in Orlando. This is a very interesting section of the draw. They will play Florida Gulf Coast, who is also making its NCAA tournament debut.
Congratulations to Florida Gulf Coast. We're going to see a lot of Florida in this bracket.
Florida State of the ACC will play its arch rival, the unseeded Florida Gators. But again, these matches will take place in Orlando.
And how odd is that to see Florida not being seeded in the NCAA tournament? They finished 3rd in the SEC this year. But don't forget, they finished in the finals of the national championship last year. But right now, they're fighting for survival in this NCAA tournament.
All 8 in this section of the draw. Again, BYU getting that coveted number 4 seed, and should BYU continue to win, they would stay at home. However, remember, if they lose, we could see someone else hosting a regional from this section of the draw.
Well, BYU, a very tough place to play, so anybody going into their house is going to have to overcome a very loud and raucous crowd.
Let's continue down the left side of the draw. The number 12 seed goes to the ACC's Pittsburgh. Pitt has had a phenomenal season.
Yeah, Dan Fisher in his 6 years done a great job. Remember, they were one of the last undefeated teams along with BYU. They had a 23-game win streak going on before they suffered their first loss.
And from the Metro Atlantic Conference, Pitt will play Iona, the Gales. The Gales finishing 20-7 and will take on Pitt in the first round. Also in this section of the draw, this match in Pittsburgh, Michigan out of the Big Ten has had some marquee wins this year. And Michigan will be in Pittsburgh to face Navy, making its debut in the tournament.
Yeah, congratulations to Navy. And watch out for Michigan. Yeah, there's, okay, Iona, I like it. I like it. You like to see that excitement during this time of year.
It's in New Rochelle, New York, Iona, just north of the city. And the Gales are fired up. They're heading to Pittsburgh to take on Pitt. Continuing on the number 5 seed, the Texas Longhorns. Jared Elliott, I'm sure, is going to have the Longhorns fired up. They're not one of the top 4 seeds, but they will stay in Austin to play Stephen F. Austin in the first match. That'll be Thursday evening.
And Stephen F. Austin has the longest match win streak right now at 29. And how about Texas won their 9th out of their last 11 Big 12 titles?
Conference USA represented by Rice. Rice will be in Austin also to face another Texas school in Texas State out of the Sun Belt.
Well, in Texas State, a tremendous year for them, led by Karen Chisholm in her 39th year at Texas State, the second longest tenured active coach in volleyball coaching.
So in this bottom left-hand corner of the draw, if the seeds were to hold, Texas stays home and plays their matches in Austin and then could advance to BYU if BYU wins its matches.
Yeah, this is an interesting bracket, I think. Texas right now has probably a lot to get excited about as far as being able to motivate your team, because you have to think that they thought they were holding on to hope that they would be maybe that last fourth spot in the top 4 seeds.
Well, let's reveal the number 2 seed in the tournament now, and no surprise here, it is Minnesota.
No surprise whatsoever. Boy, this is a fun team to watch out of the Big Ten. Look, they just suffered their first loss of the Big Ten season the other night at Penn State. But look, don't worry about this team. They've got player after player after player, led by Samantha Seliger-Swinson at that setter position. She is outstanding.
Don't forget Stephanie Samity as well. Minnesota will stay home to face Bryant in his first round match. And Minnesota, remember, could be there all the way through the national championship. How about South Carolina out of the SEC? A surprise year there for the Gamecocks. They will be in Minnesota to face Colorado out of the Pac-12.
Well, in the SEC, new coaches coming along in that conference. Tom Mendoza leads South Carolina back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2002. A lot of change in the SEC, bringing up that conference as far as volleyball is concerned.
And there is a lot of talent on the roster of the number 15 seed, the Oregon Ducks. Oregon will be at home in Eugene to face New Mexico State out of the Western Athletic Conference.
Now, Oregon is one of those dangerous teams out of the Pac-12. They have a player on the August Rasky. Keep your eye out on her. She's got a strong arm for the Ducks.
Also in Oregon, Hawaii, one of those former champions in the draw this year, will be in Oregon to face the Big 12's Baylor Bears.
Yeah, Baylor. They've got some good names on their team, too. Anaya Philo and Oceana Presley.
I like it.
Pretty good hitters, too.
I'm working on your pronunciation. Let's take a look at all 8 in this section of the draw. Minnesota, again, has the advantage of being the number 2 seed and would stay at home for all of these matches. And again, remember, the national semifinals and championships are also in Minnesota this year.
You know, it's not like I want to project. It's not what I do well. But if this happened, Minnesota and Oregon, that's going to be a nice matchup if that does work its way out.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Moving up the draw, the number 10 seed, Kentucky out of the SEC. Kentucky will face Murray State in its opening match in Lexington.
Yeah, and Kentucky, outright champions of the SEC this year, undefeated. Last year they tied for that title with Florida. This year they win their second, just outright, playing well.
And congratulations to East Tennessee State, who will be playing Purdue. Purdue out of the Big Ten, and East Tennessee State getting an at-large bid from the Southern Conference.
Purdue, another Big Ten team. Nobody wants to see behind the arm of Sheridan Atkinson. She can really rip the ball.
Our defending national champions, Nebraska, this year a number 7 seed, but keep your eye on the Huskers as they roll into the tournament on an 8-match win streak.
Well, 8-match win streak and John Cook knowing how to peak a team, yeah, watch out.
They play Hofstra in their first match in Lincoln. And then Arizona out of the Pac-12 traveling to Lincoln to play its first match against the SEC's Missouri Tigers.
They always come strong in the NCAA tournament. That's not a team you really want to match up with also. That's a tough little bracket right there.
Again, those matches played in Lincoln. And here's a look at this section of the draw. Nebraska would stay home for all of its matches in Lincoln should they continue to win. But keep your eyes, again, on some floaters in this section of the draw. This is a good one. Time to reveal another top 4 seed. Finally, the number 3 seed, Illinois.
Oh, this team is so much fun to watch. Keep your eye on number 7, Jacqueline Quay. Look, we've heard about Allie Bestinelli. We know the setter, Jordan Poulter, outstanding. But Jacqueline Quay right there, she can rip the ball. She is quick off the floor, has a whip of an arm. This Illinois team is dangerous. Illinois has won 13 straight, beat Purdue last night in front of a sellout crowd, and will stay at home to play its first match against Eastern Michigan out of the Mid-American Conference. Louisville of the ACC will travel to Illinois to play its first match against Dayton. And Louisville, one of those 5 ACC teams that have made the tournament. This is a strong conference right now, trying to make some noise. Let's take a look at another seed that will stay home. Marquette out of the Big East will stay home in Milwaukee to face another mid-major power in High Point out of the state of North Carolina. Yeah, Marquette, runner-up in that Big East conference behind Creighton, really had an outstanding year so far. Cincinnati will travel to Milwaukee to play its first match against Illinois State out of the Missouri Valley, an at-large bid for Illinois State. So let's take a look at the 8 here. Illinois will be in Champaign to play its matches. If the seeds were to hold, it would be Illinois against Marquette, but only if the seeds are to hold. USC is the number 11 seed, continuing down this right side of the draw, and will play Samford in its first match. Yep, and that's going to be a tough matchup for Samford, but congrats for getting into this tournament. USC with the healthy Kalia Lanier, watch out. Also at USC, San Diego getting an at-large bid with a 16-12 record, but some big-time wins will face Cal Poly. Yeah, San Diego finishes 3rd in the West Coast Conference. They had a win over Baylor, a win over Tennessee, so you see why they're in this tournament. All right, now, only 4 teams left to reveal. Let's do it. Wisconsin has been red hot lately and is the number 6 seed. Yeah, that's another one of those Big Ten teams, smoking hot, coming in here on 2 wheels right here behind Dana Retke, the 6'8" middle blocker. And we'll play Green Bay in the first round. Green Bay 20-10. Northern Iowa, who has had a very good season out of the Missouri Valley Conference, 24-9, will face the final team we will reveal, Pepperdine out of the West Coast Conference. I know Pepperdine's excited to get there. They've been holding their breath this whole show, so congratulations. So we have revealed the bracket. All 64 teams have been revealed. These are the final 8 of the night. And so the drama in terms of the bracket being revealed is now over. We know who our teams are, but Nell, your thoughts on the bracket? I think it's a good bracket. I'm looking forward to a lot of these matchups. If it holds chalk, let's just say it holds chalk. I really have some that I really think are going to be good. The Oregon-Minnesota potential matchup I think could be tough. Even though I have a tremendous amount of respect for Minnesota and what they do, there's pressure there when you're potentially hosting at home all the way through to the final weekend. Purdue, Kentucky, I think could be a really tough matchup. Craig Skinner has done a tremendous job at Kentucky building his program. But Purdue is a tough matchup, I think, and it really comes down to matchups in this NCAA tournament. Who matches up well with you? And then, potentially, there could be a potential Minnesota-Nebraska rematch. Now, Minnesota took 2 off of Nebraska this year in the Big Ten. But, boy, when it comes down to an Elite Eight, who's going to the national semifinal weekend, whew, tell you what, things get a little tight right there, but we'll see what happens.
You might see Penn State and Stanford as well.
That's right.
Or Texas BYU, and they were arguing over who should get that seed.
Now, the Texas BYU, that one could be really interesting if it goes chalk and we see that matchup happen right there, because you know Texas has a little extra motivation right there. I'm sure they feel slighted that they're not in that top 4 spot. But, you know, sometimes things work out to get you that extra motivation.
And we're going to go right to the top and get an answer in a little while. We're going to have the committee chair on with us, Carrie Cole. But before we get to that, you mentioned Nebraska. We opened the show with Nebraska. They are the defending champions. And they have found a very fired-up fan in the Nebraska football coach, Scott Frost. He actually addressed the team earlier. Here's some of what he had to say.
You guys are freaking awesome to watch. Be honest with you. Where your program is, that's where we're taking the football program. And we're not there yet, but we're going to get there. Watching you guys compete together as a team, watching how much everybody's involved, how much everybody cares, it's inspiring to me. You guys got the culture built that we're trying to get built. I'll tell you this, being in Nebraska special, winning a championship in Nebraska changes your life. And some of you guys have a chance to win a couple of them, freaking win another.
And joining us now is Michaela Fecke, one of the stars of Nebraska's team. In fact, Michaela's twice been the most outstanding player in the NCAA championships. Michaela, I just want to ask you what the relationship is like with Scott Frost from your perspective, from the teammates.
You know, I think we have a great relationship with Scott Frost. We're so lucky that he is so close-knit with Coach Cook. I mean, to come into the locker room and to give us a speech like that is really something special. And, you know, not all football programs do that. And so I think we're just really lucky.
Michaela, I have so much respect for your coach, John Cook. He's outstanding. But let me ask you this. How has he changed during your career at Nebraska? Or has he changed? Because it seems like he had to make some changes, especially last year when he was rebuilding somewhat. And here y'all go and win a national championship. But what kind of changes has he made?
Yeah, I think over the past 4 years, Coach Cook has definitely made some changes. And obviously it's been working. And I think that he's kind of let us do our thing and more go with the flow and have fun and realize that you can't always play volleyball and be uptight, and that it's about enjoying the game and enjoying the process.
Well, Michaela, we're taking a look at some of your performance this year. You've been part of 2 NCAA championship teams in the last 3 years. What are your thoughts on this year's team? You guys have won 8 matches in a row heading into the tournament.
You know, I think we're working and improving every single day, and I think we can make a great run in the tournament, just like every other team. And, you know, we're training really hard and definitely going to go out there and do our best.
Michaela, you've had to incorporate 2 new players onto your team. Lexi Sun has come in as an outside hitter. You've got the freshman Schwarzenbach in the middle. What kind of leadership did you have to provide to those 2 to get them up to speed in Nebraska volleyball?
You know, I think every year with new players, especially freshmen, you just have to set the culture and the standard right away and then just uphold it with the way you carry out your own personal roles. And so I think just by doing that, you're able to set a good role model and example for them.
Hey, Michaela, thanks for taking time out on this special night to join us, and good luck in the tournament.
Thank you.
Well, Nebraska is trying to join an elite group of teams that have defended their NCAA titles. How hard is it to do now? Penn State, 13-14, the last team to do it.
Look, this is unbelievable. It's probably one of the hardest things to do as a coach and as an athlete, because the expectations are so high coming off of a national championship game match or year. But what you have to understand is that every year the team is different. You never have the same team your whole 4-year career or even 1 year of your career. So having to incorporate the new faces, the new freshmen, new coaching staff sometimes, it's tough. So kudos to Russ Rose for being able to get 7 of those.
Yeah, on there a few different times. Nebraska trying to join that group this year. They beat Florida last year for the NCAA championship. The woman who helped put this entire bracket together, in fact, she was the chair, Carrie Cole, will be joining us in just a few moments. And also BYU's head coach, Heather Olmstead, will be appearing on the program to talk with Nell and I as well. It is an exciting night all around the country. This was BYU finding out they were in fact the number 4 seed. How about Central Florida down in Orlando? They don't have to go to Gainesville. They'll be hosting matches in Orlando. Our selection show continues with the chair of the committee in a moment.
Open up your eyes, you're about to see a new thing. Open up your eyes, you're about to see a new thing. Everybody want a new thing. Pick it if you like it, everybody want a new thing.
Buddy, you that fish boy from the TV? It's Fish Man.
My son, you could unite our worlds one day. The land and the sea.
I'm not a king.
The world needs something more. A hero.
Aquaman. Rated PG-13. Experience it in IMAX December 21st.
Von Miller's wanted to build a chicken coop here for months. Facilities said no, of course, but they did let him build a bird cage.
So majestic, aren't they?
They are. I mean, they're not chickens, but they're sure fun to watch.
Don't worry. I snuck one in.
Wait, where'd he go?
Over there.
Chicken farming's a tough business. I don't know how Von does it.
Is your team in or out? Find out who's in the College Football Playoff Selection Show, Sunday, December 2nd at noon on ESPN.
Spurs at 8, Nuggets Blazers at 10:30, Friday on ESPN. Presented by State Farm.
The NCAA Women's Volleyball Selection Special is brought to you by Wrangler, real, comfortable jeans.
Here's some notes on the field of 64 teams. The Pac-12 this year leading all conferences with 8 teams in the field. The Big Ten has the second most with 7. And remember, 5 Big Ten teams are ranked in the top 10. Stanford and Penn State are the only 2 programs that have appeared in every single NCAA Women's Volleyball Championship. And this year we have 6 teams making their first NCAA Women's Volleyball Championship appearance. And one of the coaches who is very happy tonight, Heather Olmstead of BYU, as we finally ended the drama and we're able to show the nation that Coach Olmstead's BYU team is the number 4 seed. And Coach, thanks for joining us tonight. I have a couple of questions for you, if you don't mind asking them. I just want people to know more about your program because you started out the season undefeated. You spent most of the year number 1. You gave Stanford its only loss of the season. But yet nationally, a lot of people are not as familiar with BYU as perhaps they should be. What's made your team so good this year?
Yeah, we have a good core group of senior leadership leading this team that have been in the tournament, and they're really determined to play well this year, and they've done that. And so I think we have a good tradition here at BYU. A lot of wins. Elaine Michaelis has done a great job here. And so we're just trying to carry on that tradition of good volleyball. And we're a resilient group and hardworking, and they're competitive. So it's been a fun year and a fun ride with these girls.
Heather, it was heartbreaking when McKenna Miller went down with the injury during the season, and I'm sure your team was probably a little bit in shock maybe over it. Talk us through the process of you as a head coach getting your team back engaged into the process of continuing to win and to continue to go after the goals that y'all had set for the year.
Yeah, McKenna's such a big part of our team and what we're doing, and our girls did such a good job regrouping even within that match and then continuing to win after that. And so we've got a lot of girls that are ready to step up and play, and so I think that's one of our strengths, is that we think that the strength of our team is our team, and so we're looking forward to the challenge and the opportunity, and we're excited we get to start that this weekend at home. But definitely she's a big part of our team, but we love everybody on our team, and it's going to be exciting.
Well, Coach, let's talk about the hot topic of the night, and that is the seeds. You drew a number 4 seed this year. Was that a topic among your staff and of your team, or were you just kind of letting the chips fall where they may?
Yeah, of course. You never know what the committee's going to decide. They have a really tough job, so we're thrilled. We're excited. We like the schedule that we put together. Obviously, our non-conference schedule, and then our conference. Seeing how many teams got in the tournament is so exciting for us, and so we were thrilled with obviously how we played this year, and thought that whatever the committee decided was what we were going to go with. And we're excited again to start with a home match this weekend and go from there and take it one match at a time.
Coach, one of the most exciting players in the country is right there on your team, and that's Ronnie Jones-Perry. She's such a dynamic player, so much fun to watch, and she has so much energy when she's on the floor. I love watching her play because she just brings the energy to the rest of your team. Talk to us about how fun it must be coaching this young lady.
Yeah, Ronnie Jones-Perry, she's a good jumper. She has a heavy arm. She's got a lot of energy. She just keeps improving her game every time she plays, and we're really excited to see her development over these past 4 years. And she's leading this team, and she wants to win every match that she's out there, and you can just see that fire in her eyes, and she's a competitor. And so it's been great to see her progress as a student athlete here at BYU, and I'm just proud of everything that she's accomplished so far.
Well, Coach, we've been talking about how proud you are of your players, but I'd like to talk about you for a second. You're in your 4th year as a head coach, all at BYU. You've won over 90% of your matches. How would you describe your coaching philosophy since you've made such an immediate impact?
Yeah, I think the key is get great players and they make you look good. So we've got a bunch of good girls on our team that are hungry and compete, and it's not that hard to coach these girls because they're competitive, they work hard, they're good at volleyball, they're high character young women, and so I think it's just fun to get out there and roll the balls out and see how good we can get in practice and in competitions. And they have this real strong desire to win and a strong belief in themselves, and I think that's what people are seeing when we play.
Well, congratulations on being the number 4 seed and for that fantastic regular season you had. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys very much.
Let's take a look at some notes on our top 4 seeds now. Obviously, Stanford has won the title 7 times, comes into the tournament on a 26-match win streak and a 32-match win streak at home.
Yeah, they are just an interesting team in the fact that this junior class won the national championship their freshman year. I mean, that was a shocker, really. Then they did not win it in their second year. They got back there, but they didn't win it. And now this year, can they get their second one and then still come back and possibly win a third one? So they have a lot of pieces, a lot of weapons in that tool belt of theirs to really take teams really down a tough road.
Illinois, the number 3 seed, 13-match win streak, 5-0 in 5-setters, and BYU. We've spent a lot of time on BYU tonight. Minnesota, the number 2 seed, could go all the way through the national championship in Minneapolis. We will talk to head coach Hugh McCutcheon when we come back, as well as Stanford's Catherine Plummer, the current National Player of the Year. Green Bay, the Phoenix are fired up.
I love it.
And let's head over to Cincinnati.
It's the best day of the year. Bracket reveal.
We will come back with Hugh McCutcheon and Catherine Plummer as we continue our selection show.
Which one to get? Turn to the nerds. Hey there, aloha. Need a card with great travel rewards? Turn to the nerds. Yowza, that sounded expensive. Time for a credit card with a lower interest rate? Turn to the nerds. Can we crack a window or something? The experts at NerdWallet make it easy to make smart money moves. Compare and find the best credit cards for you at nerdwallet.com.
The original idea for this commercial was to show a step-by-step breakdown of how these Warby Parker glasses were made. From designing them in-house, to creating the cellulose acetate, to hand-assembling the frame. But we kind of got held up on this beautiful shot of them getting hand-buffed on a polishing wheel. Mesmerizing, isn't it? Anyway, our glasses start at $95, including prescription lenses. Try 5 pairs for free at warbyparker.com. The original idea for this commercial was to show you how these Warby Parker glasses were made. But we got held up on this beautiful shot of them getting hand-polished. Our glasses start at $95, including prescription lenses. Try 5 pairs for free at warbyparker.com. Okay, there's this other thing we do. It's called a hinge test. And well, you get the point. Our glasses start at $95, including prescription lenses. Try 5 pairs for free at warbyparker.com.
You are a traveler. Sometimes a jet setter, other times a tourist. But always, always moving. Away makes luggage that can keep up with an ejectable battery, 4 spinner wheels, and a lifetime guarantee. This is luggage made for the way you actually travel. Try any suitcase for 100 days at awaytravel.com.
Listen up, we're Hims, and we help you stay looking like this, not like this. Thanks to science, baldness can be optional. Try it out at forhims.com.
It's simple. You've got something you want to frame. You can upload it, or you can just send it. Not like that, by mail. And a free shipper will provide you. Your piece will be meticulously custom framed in America at our very own factory. We'll send it back to you for a fraction of the price and a lot less time than traditional custom framing. A FrameBridge box will show up at your house, and you'll put that something you've been wanting to frame on your wall, and it'll look amazing. FrameBridge.
You're watching the NCAA Women's Volleyball Selection Special.
Let's go back to the bracket. Moving from the upper left down. Stanford is the #1 seed in the tournament, and all of these matches will be in Palo Alto should Stanford continue to win. Washington State gets to stay at home for its first 2 matches as well. Creighton at home, as is Penn State in this section.
Yeah, Creighton, again, looking forward to watching them play. He's done an outstanding job with this program. But Penn State, watch out. They've got freshmen on the rise.
And I think you got to watch out for Texas, because Texas is fired up not to be a top 4 seed. They are #5. They'll be at home to play their first 2 matches. Pitt will be at home to play its first 2 matches.
Yeah, Texas is like a bear that's gotten woken up in hibernation that wasn't ready to get out of there. They are not going to be happy, but they're going to be motivated.
And the last quadrant in the left-hand side of the draw, UCF will be at home to play Florida Gulf Coast, and then would face either Florida State or Florida. BYU getting that coveted #4 seed.
Yeah, BYU, fantastic year. This is their first top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, so we'll see what they can make out of that.
Moving to the right side of the draw, we go to the top. Illinois is the #3 seed this year out of the Big Ten. We'll play Eastern Michigan. Marquette also will be at home for its 2 matches.
Yeah, you know, Illinois, they're riding a 13-match win streak right now. Chris Thomas has done a tremendous job with this program in just his 2nd year. We'll see how far he can take them.
Continuing down the right side of the draw, USC is the number 11 seed, plays Sanford first. San Diego getting into the tournament with an at-large bid. Wisconsin, one of those red-hot Big Ten teams, will be at home against Green Bay.
I talked about Dana Redke. How about Sydney Hilly, one of the best setters in the country, only a sophomore, but boy, she can really runs a nice offense.
Well, it is a familiar theme, naming Big Ten teams as one of the top 10 seeds. Nebraska is the number 7 seed. The defending champions open against Hofstra. Arizona will meet Missouri, and Kentucky stays home to play Murray State. Purdue against East Tennessee State.
Yeah, watch out for Purdue and watch out for Kentucky. Kentucky really, nice job. Leah Edmond out on that left side, very dynamic hitter.
And now the final 8 on the right side of the bracket. Oregon will be at home against New Mexico State. Hawaii will play Baylor in Oregon as well. Minnesota faces Bryant at home. South Carolina and Colorado also will be in Minnesota. We'll be talking with head coach of Minnesota, Hugh McCutcheon, right now. Hugh's joining us by phone. Thanks, Hugh, for taking some time out tonight. And first question I want to ask you is, you play in the Big Ten. You have that entire grueling season. So are you battle weary or battle tested?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question, Sam. I think it's like we talk about the grind of it, and as you say, it's either going to polish you up or it's going to weigh you down. And I think year to year probably different changes depending on how the schedule plays out. But I think for our team, we're feeling pretty good. I think we're ready to go.
You know, Hugh, you have a lot of nice pieces to your team. Tremendous hitters. I love your right side, Stephanie Samity. Just absolutely tremendous. I like watching her play. That's why I was looking there. But talk to us a little bit about your setter, Samantha Seliger-Swinson. She's pretty special. Her location is excellent. She's really athletic. How special has she been to coach?
Yeah, I think she's wonderful. As you said, a special athlete. Not so much in terms of location, as you say, but I think just her ability to create at the net, and certainly her ability to set the set that the hitter needs, not necessarily the one that she wants to set. You know what I mean? She's got a good feel. The hitter's a little early. She'll speed him up. She's waiting a little bit for a hitter that maybe went down on a knee or something to pass the ball. She's got a lot of intangibles.
Hugh, you've been a national team coach, an Olympic coach. You're married to an Olympian. I mean, you have been around volleyball at the highest level, but yet you've seemed to have found a home in Minnesota in NCAA volleyball. What is it about the NCAA level that's been so attractive and worthwhile to you?
Yeah, we consider ourselves very fortunate. You know, after 11 years of international volleyball, just being able to be in a community that cares so much about volleyball, being at a university that supports it so well, and of course, we travel, sure, but 2 days in India or whatever is not 30 days in Asia. So much better for trying to be a dad and being a husband and being all the other things that I got to do as well.
All right, Hugh. Thanks for taking some time to spend with Nell and I, and good luck up there in Minnesota.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks a lot, you guys.
Good luck, Hugh.
Hugh has one of the players on this graphic. Now, here's your impact players for the tournament.
Well, Stephanie Samity, she's an opposite hitter, but I call her a 5-star. She can do just every skill on the floor. She's excellent out of the back row. She's so tough on that right pin. She can block. She can play defense. Excellent passer. But look, all of these players. Jacqueline Quay, dynamic hitter. Kathleen Plummer could be the player of the year. Ronnie Jones-Perry could easily be the player of the year. It's going to be a battle.
Well, Kathleen Plummer, by the way, is the current National Player of the Year, and she's taking time out from her studies at Stanford University to join us now. Kathleen, thanks for joining us. We're talking to you because you are the National Player of the Year on the #1 seeded team. But you are by no means, I think you'll admit, the only star on that team. In your words, tell us about your teammates and what makes your team so special.
I think we just have so many options to use on our team, and a lot of people that can contribute. We're more of a balanced team this year, and I think that's allowed us to have a lot of success.
I love your Lee row, okay? Morgan Hintz is she is just a terror in the back row. And there's just something special to me about Libros. They are just crazy. Just hit them 100 balls and hit them harder each time you hit them. They're just nuts. But she finds a way of getting to every ball and keeping them alive for you to put away. Talk to us a little bit about her.
We've lost Catherine Plummer, some technical difficulties, and we'll try to get her back. But Catherine Plummer, obviously a star, not only Morgan Hintz, but also Jenna Gray, their setter. I mean, that's a trifecta right there that's going to be tough for anybody to beat.
Well, it is. And then they have an excellent opposite, Adriana Fitzmaurice out on the right side. Yeah, and Alade in the middle. That's the #1 blocker in the country. Well, Stanford's the #1 blocking team, and they have the #1 blocker in Alade. So they have a lot of good pieces working for them. But again, back to Morgan Hintz, I'm sorry, I love those Libros. They are just nuts in the back row. But when you get a Libro that can pass and pick up just about every ball that's coming your way, you have a really good opportunity to win.
Well, I'm sorry we lost the feed with Catherine Plummer, but we are going to see a lot more of her in the NCAA tournament, I'm sure. And one man we're always happy to see, he's obviously in the holiday spirit, as you're about to find out. Karch Karai, our national team coach, will join us on the other side of the break. Syracuse with its first appearance.
I love it.
The Orange are in.
Oh, where's Santita? Where's Santita?
And how about the Bulldogs down in Sanford?
Oh, that's so awesome. That's in Birmingham, Alabama right there. You go, Bulldogs.
They're headed out west. And Karch Karai will be with us when we return to our selection show.
Your team, your card. Get yours at discover.com/NHL.
Make sure the best gift of the season arrives safely. The Cadillac XT5. Current non-GM owners and lessees get this low-mileage lease on this 2019 Cadillac XT5 from around $399 per month.
Touch shows how we really feel. But does psoriasis ever get in the way? Embrace the chance of 100% clear skin with Taltz, the first and only treatment of its kind, offering people with moderate to severe psoriasis a chance at 100% clear skin. With Taltz, up to 90% of people quickly saw a significant improvement of their psoriasis plaques. Don't use if you're allergic to Taltz. Before starting, you should be checked for tuberculosis. Taltz may increase risk of infections and lower your ability to fight them. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, symptoms, or received a vaccine or plan to. Inflammatory bowel disease can happen with Taltz, including worsening of symptoms. Serious allergic reactions can occur. Ready for a chance at 100% clear skin? Ask your doctor about Taltz.
Wait, what? Everyone's excited about the Chevy vehicles at the Chevy Black Friday sales event.
I could get used to this. Wow.
And you will be too when you get 0% financing on our award-winning Chevy cars, trucks, and SUVs.
How is that even possible?
Now get 0% financing for 72 months on popular 2018 and 2019 Chevy models. Or make no monthly payments until next year. The Black Friday sales event ends soon. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Open up your eyes, you're about to see a new thing. Open up your eyes, you're about to see a new thing. Everybody want a new thing. Pick it if you like it, everybody want a new thing.
Hey, I'm going to lunch. You want some lunch?
Packers are your national champions in 2017. And we are beginning that process next weekend of determining our new national champion. I told you we'll have Karch Karai with us in a moment, but before Karch, the woman who was responsible for the field of 64, the committee chair, Carrie Cole, joining us. Good evening again, Carrie. Good to talk to you on air. And I guess let's start with the hot topic of the evening, that number 4 seed and BYU. How did BYU get the number 4 seed? What was the process there of selecting their seed?
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, the committee spent a great deal of time going through those top 16 seeds, and especially the top 4, really vetting every selection criteria they have. And BYU's, got a strong win percentage. They're 27-1. They've got a significant win over Stanford. And they have a great body of work. Overall, we felt that they were appropriate in that number 4 slot.
Carrie, I'm assuming that Texas was the one that y'all were really battling with, whether they would get the top 4 seed or not. What else could Texas have done to maybe overtake BYU for that top 4 seed?
Yeah, Texas has a strong resume as well, and we spent a great deal of time comparing those two in the selection criteria. Some of it is that head-to-head, that common opponent, with Stanford. BYU's got that one win over them, and Texas lost to them twice.
Carrie, obviously the Big Ten is on quite a roll, as we've talked about coming into the tournament. They've got 5 of the top 10 seeds, but yet most of them are over on that right side of the bracket or in very difficult regionals. Can you take us through the process of determining where those teams are seated and how that works?
Sure. Yeah, we go through the process. It's very methodical to select those 64 teams and then develop those 16 seeds. Once those are determined, we place them into the bracket, into the appropriate spot. And the integrity of the bracket is paramount. We ensure that they're placed there, no matter what conference they're from, and make sure that they're in the right spot. As we evaluated the bracket, seeing that there was a lot of Big Ten teams on that right side, as we looked forward, if the seeds hold, there won't be a Big Ten matchup until a regional final. So it was a little difficult having 5 Big Ten seeds, though, in that top 16.
It's always interesting when we get into a tournament and the brackets revealed. People want to know who are the last teams in and the first teams out. So who were our last 2 in and our first 4 out? This is what you gave us earlier.
Yeah, they it came down to going through that selection criteria, and San Diego and LMU had an advantage over a few of those other teams. Kansas, Kansas State, Maryland, and Princeton were the teams that didn't make the field this year. San Diego and LMU have 3 to 4 top 50 wins. LMU's got a win over Kansas and that significant win over BYU, and that's where it fell out.
Carrie, talk to us just a minute about how hard is it to really solidify this bracket? Was it done 5 hours ago? Is it done, 2 hours ago? Or was it done last night? How hard is it to really solidify that bracket?
We started Friday afternoon, went through the process of selecting those 64 teams and really vetting every single seed all the way through from 1 to 16, and then went through to 17, 18, 19, making sure that we've got the right teams in there. The process of getting those correct, we'll come back, look at them again, look at those bottom 2 that came in, ensure we've got the right teams in there, and then start the bracketing process. We've got some bracketing principles that are outlined for the committee, and we finished it this afternoon, I would say, to get it all in the right spots.
Well, Carrie, thank you for your diligence and your hard work and for taking time out to be on the hot seat with us tonight and explain some of these decisions.
You got it. We look forward to seeing who makes it to Minneapolis. Thanks for having me.
All right, Carrie, thank you. We say goodnight to Carrie, and we say hello to Karch Karai, part of our team here at ESPN. And Karch, you just heard from the committee chair. What are your thoughts on the bracket this year?
Well, a few of the themes that jump out to me are, number one, the balance of power. You already mentioned Big Ten, 5 out of the top 8 seeds, very heavy on that right side of the bracket. But on the other swing, Going down is the Big 12. Only 2 entries in the tournament. Kansas and Kansas State bubble teams. You could make a good argument for both of them, but they're left out. And the SEC had 2 of the top 4 seeds last year in Kentucky and Florida, and now only 1 seed out of 10 with Kentucky. Another thing that jumps out to me is just the experience factor in the setter position. No surprise that all 4 of these top seeds have experienced setters. It's very rare for a freshman setter to lead her team, a true freshman, playing full-time setter in a 5-1 offense and lead her team to the NCAA title. Only 2 people have done it. One was Stanford's Jenna Gray 2 years ago. She's a lot more experienced now.
I tell you, you sound like a walking volleyball dictionary right there. You've got a lot of knowledge in that head of yours, Karch. Talk to us about who you think has some opportunities or potential of winning this whole tournament. We believe, and me and Sam have been talking about this, we think Minnesota and Stanford really kind of hold themselves at the top of the ladder. Do you think there's about maybe 5 to 7 more teams, or maybe more, that could possibly get in there and win the title?
I think there are a few more. Mostly it's because you've got to be good for 6 matches. You have to take 6 teams down, any one of whom could have their best match of the year against you. So a team like Kentucky that had such a great SEC season is probably a sleeper at a 10 seed, and with the experience that they have making the regional finals and pushing Nebraska so hard, a team like that I think is capable of going very deep into this tournament. So I'd say probably 9 or 10 teams, and BYU would be one of them even more if they hadn't lost a little bit of offense in their outside hitter, McKenna Miller.
Karch, I want to go back to a comment you astutely made a little while ago that a lot of these top teams are led by experienced setters. But I feel like in the matches I've called this year, I've talked about freshmen more than I ever have having impact on overall matches. As our national team coach, do you think the talent pool is deeper than it's ever been, younger than it's ever been, and do you expect freshmen to have an impact in this tournament?
It's a good question. I think we got to have a historical perspective. You can go back to people like Carrie Walsh, Misty May, and even longer back to some of the all-time greats like Paula Weishoff and Debbie Landreth Brown. So I don't know that we could say that the freshmen are doing better than ever, especially because there are more substitutions now. But the people that I really admire, and there are some in this tournament, are freshmen who are playing and staying on the court essentially full-time. Kind of like Adana Rollins and Cece McGraw for Minnesota, and the 2 setters for Texas and Nebraska. For Texas, obviously, it's Jenna Gabriel, who took over in November, and Nicklin Hames for Nebraska. So I think she's doing a really nice job filling in as a true freshman. And then you have somebody like Johnny Parker for Penn State, who's also staying on the court full time. And so those are the people, instead of just front court people or back court players, those are the players that I admire most, people who can contribute to their team in all categories and all technical phases.
Okay, Karch, thanks for taking time out and sharing some wisdom with you. And Karch will be with us calling matches through the NCAA championship. Have a good night, Karch.
Thank you, and good luck to everybody in the tournament, all 64. An
exciting evening of revealing the brackets. Rice, the Owls, finding out that they're in.
Oh, yeah, right out of Houston, Texas, right there. Welcome to the dance.
And Rice will be playing Texas State. How about Illinois State?
Oh, yeah, the Redbirds. They know how to fly. Welcome to the dance.
From the Missouri Valley Conference, our selection show continues in a moment.
I'm Adam, and I make robots. The new Surface Pro can handle all of my programs. I can paint, I can mold, I can code. I can take an idea from a sketch and turn it into a real product in one device. It's pretty amazing.
I can do more to lower my A1C.
Because my body can still make its own insulin.
And I take Trulicity once a week to activate my body to release it, like it's supposed to. Trulicity is not insulin. It comes in a once-weekly, truly easy-to-use pen. And it works 24/7.
Trulicity is an injection to improve blood sugar in adults with type 2 diabetes when used with diet and exercise. Don't use it as the first medicine to treat diabetes or if you have type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Don't take Trulicity if you or your family have medullary thyroid cancer, you're allergic to Trulicity, or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2. Stop Trulicity and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of a serious allergic reaction, a lump or swelling in your neck, or severe stomach pain. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Taking Trulicity with a sulfonylurea or insulin increases your low blood sugar risk. Common side effects include nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and decreased appetite. These can lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems.
To help lower my A1C, I choose Trulicity to activate my within.
Ask your doctor about once-weekly Trulicity.
Like leather, skin is stronger when it's hydrated, but 9 out of 10 men don't get the hydration their skin needs. That's why Dove Men Plus Care Body Wash has a unique hydrating formula to keep men's skin healthier and stronger.
Oh, what is that?
No.
You've got a virus.
I have a virus?
Oh, no. I've never seen this.
Did you try restarting it? Mom!
Any key entered, spacebar escape.
It wasn't a typical flight to Chicago. Documents were uploaded, deadlines were met, and projects were conquered, with time left to stream the most binge-worthy shows. High-speed Wi-Fi on American Airlines.
Stephanie?
Luis?
Hola.
Opportunity is everywhere. Like here, where you can explore the world, knowing you can always find your way home.
We've talked a lot about the favorites. Give me a few dark horses in the draw.
Well, I think you have to keep your eye on Florida because Thayer Hall had been out. She was the National Player of the Year in high school last year. She's had a phenomenal career already as a freshman, but she was hurt. She's been out for a while. She's back. Can Florida respond to her being back and win?
It's going to be such a fun tournament. The matches begin, first and second round matches begin on Thursday, and of course we will have full coverage of the regionals the following weekend. It's been a night of anticipation, release, and excitement as teams all over the country have discovered they are in the NCAA Women's Volleyball Championship.
Good luck, everybody.
Tyler Trent. It's amazing the passion he has and the way that he supports his team and the way they support him back. It's beautiful to see.
Couldn't ask for more, honestly. I'll see you guys in New York.
Yes,
You'll see it on SportsCenter tonight.
Top 10.
Alrighty. So I am just putting together the bracket for our bracket challenge. I'm almost done. The seating is a little bit wonkier on the website we're using, but I can show you where that will be. So it's challenge.com/HRVC2018. And yeah, I'm almost done. So this bracket isn't quite right, but let me just finish that and I will take you through it in just 1 second. So I'm just gonna put some music on as I finish the bracket and then I'll talk through it. Actually, you know what I'll do? I will end the stream and I will start a new one once the bracket is up, okay? So I'll see you guys in about 5 minutes.